Good morning, yo, it's a Kachoya! Good morning, good morning, good morning. The Bugatti is the Bugatti and the math is the math. Quit playing with me, chat. Good morning, y'all. How we doing? Can I get a Kachoya? Can we get pixel perfect up in this bitch? Ludo, what's going on? Fragile, what's going on? Maybe Band-Aid says, man, this week is just all of the freaking juice. Yeah, and I think even like the price action the last 24, 48 hours, I think it really highlights how you could have all the math and the general concept right, but if you go too high of a leverage or your position size is too big, you could just jinx your own self. Yeah, but like think about, because you don't really have to be perfect, right? I mean, obviously it went a little bit lower than the single print. We can't anticipate how many liquidations and stop losses are gonna get triggered. You know, it went a little bit lower than the single print, but that's okay, right? Because if that Fibonacci doesn't work, the next one is right there. We also have the previous SFP as well. Yeah, and obviously we were trying to take shorts all day yesterday. So, you know, like understanding that ES might try and go grab that single print. Same with Biddy, understanding that probably the high isn't going to get placed, the good one, until Monday. Even things like understanding, hey, at some point we're going to have to concede that Coinbase is going to leave the high like that until next week. Yeah, and then obviously the failed auction, the neckline. Yeah, so just kind of understanding all of that helped tremendously, yeah? And then obviously ES and Biddy both coming up to their respective VWAPs. S&P already hit its VWAP. Bitcoin coming up to it. But yeah, juicy ass week, huh? Just kind of understanding, you know, what the highest probable outcome will be and just kind of aligning yourself to it. So yeah, not too shabby. Seeking, what's going on? Refus is pretty easy this week. Yeah, it's always gonna, I think it's always gonna be easy to kind of figure out the higher time frame stuff. It's the, like the execution on the smaller time frame. Cause I think some people were like, dude, I got stopped out again. But the people that were messaging me saying, dude, I got stopped out again. I was like, yeah, but you know, you should have an idea of when to re-enter. So hopefully some of you guys got back in if you got stopped out. If you know, got stopped out and it left you at the train station, no one's gonna care. So always another trade. Some of you guys took the 75786 long. I like that. In the end, I mean, you never had a 30-minute candle body close below the golden pocket. So you know what that means because we've seen that all week. All right, and if you guys were here yesterday, we talked about how 109, 108.5, that was going to be an area that we were interested in longing anyways. And so anticipatory. Guys, none of us longed up here, okay? And none of us shorted here. So did we make sure that we didn't get got? I think we did good, Kachoya. Any questions going into the weekend? Let me guess. Kimba, do you think that bad highs are going to get cleaned? It's coming. I already know it, especially if it gets above VWAP, right? I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'm pretty sure that the Monday or the Tuesday high will be the weekly high for next week. And so, yeah, it might not clean the high on Monday or Tuesday, but taking the short on Monday or Tuesday is probably your best bet. Upple Hoppa says, Kimba, do you think the bad highs are gonna? Nah, just kidding. I don't know. I don't even know the answer, but I bet the market will leave a lot of people asking that over the weekend. Brother, can you check Exo and tell me if the 142 mil, is it a bug? No, it's not a bug. Nope, it's not a bug. But brother, I swear we kind of talked about it. I was kind of joking, and but do you remember when I said, watch, there's going to be people that don't want to long at 104, but they want to long 111, and that will mark our top. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really put too much weight into open interest right now, because you have a lot of people that really don't know what the fuck they're doing, putting in a lot of money. So did that James Wing guy get stopped out, or what did he do? Did he end up adding? Yeah, $1 billion position, and he's still just like us. Oh no, I'm gonna get stopped out, fuck. He shaved a little bit? Okay, dope. Yeah, but he's just like one of us. He's just like one of us. He added 1K. He says home run is 118K. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely watching the stream, Aurum. Yeah, but the point that I'm trying to make is $1 billion position, he's just like us. So the point that I always try to make is, guys, there's always a bigger fish. You know, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of people in this world where they could lose double-digit millions and they're not going to bat an eye, right? And the other point that I always try to stress is, just because somebody has hella money to be in a position doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're doing. So that's kind of the reason why, like, you know, you want to take all of this with a grain of salt. But I don't know how many times I said yesterday, hey, brother, are you in a short already? Are you in a short? Did you take a short? Got to protect your capital, Kachoy. Manage that risk, Kachoy. I hope it makes sense why trying to long the VWAP doesn't really have that much to gain than first is here, single print. Next one is here. Next one is here. So I just feel like the short is the one that I want to put my money in, which is what the result of yesterday was. Yeah, but $1 billion to get into a position, still, the guy still didn't want to take a short, which blows my mind. Seeking says he broadcast his entire position, begging to be hunted, but that's an easy way to kind of excuse yourself. But the price isn't dumping because he's getting hunted. The price is dumping because dumbass is long the top. And maybe people can't remember that at some point you're going to need to concede that that's not going to get hunted right away. So, but I was here all day yesterday kind of explaining why, where, why, when, how. So, Prob Ideas. Dude, I can't figure out the audio input thing on Apollo, Prob Ideas. Pavel says, who are we talking about, gentlemen? There's a guy named James Wynn. He had $25 on margin and he 40x'd it. So he had $1 billion Bitcoin position long. His entry or his liquidation was at like 107. All right. And the point that we've been making for the last couple weeks is that it's not like these people are just showing up now. They've always been around in crypto. The only difference is people are now talking about people like him because they can actually see it because of exchanges like Hyperliquid, where the trade is on chain. And the point that I'm trying to make, Pavel, is there's thousands, tens of thousands of people like this guy. You know, there's people that are like, oh my God, he has 25 million margin. He's doing $1 billion position on 40X. You clearly either don't know Nerd or you've never believed him when he says he's in a $50 million, $100 million position. You know? So now, like, it doesn't seem that crazy for Nerd to have $100 million long when you can see people being in $1 billion long positions. And then it's just a matter of, like, who do you think actually knows more? Like, do you think Nerd's positions make more sense? Or does somebody longing 108 make more sense? But yeah, whether it's a guy, you know, with $1 billion position or, you know, I don't know if you guys understand this, but there's somebody that has a $2.1 billion short on Binance. You know, just because you can't see it, do you, let me ask you this, Paul, do you think James Nguyen is the biggest position holder in all of crypto on derivative positions right now? Fuck no. I think the biggest position is like a $5 billion position. You know, and that's like on 13X or 12X or something like that. So think about that. Does anybody actually think some rando from Alameda has the biggest position right now in crypto? Fuck no. If a random dude on the internet can do $1 billion position, think of how much like a, you know, semi-decent family hedge fund is doing. So if anything, you guys need to wake the fuck up and really understand what kind of money is in play. Right? So again, hidden bull div, you know, single print, confluence with ES. What you guys think? I mean, how many of you guys were here yesterday when I was talking about 57.55? Okay. You guys remember that? The Bugama yesterday? 57.55. So 57.55 and the single print. And look at the 30-minute body candle closes on S&P. You gotta be fucking shitting me. How many of y'all remember that? 57.55 on Bugama and the single print on ES as the long confluence. Make sense? So it's all good if you don't want to long here, but nobody is fucking shorting here, right? Lusky? And Lusky, like, did I just randomly say this morning that the long is good, or is that something that we talked about yesterday, and did I explain why? So it's confluence. So, I mean, I can't predict if it's going to long there, but I think based off of what the fuck it did, I think we identified the levels pretty well. And I think that gives us confidence going into next week. So not too bad, right? Bugama yesterday, 57.55. That's where ES went to. Pixel, look at that, 57.56.50. Right? And it was the single print that we were really after. And look at the body candle closes. That's fucking pixel perfect. So you got a hidden, look, can you see it? Can you see it? So you had a hidden bull div and a smaller regular. So you just take what the math says, anticipate the level, read the data. Anticipate the level, read the data, cut choy. And whether you're in a short from yesterday or a long from this morning, nobody can lose. I mean, I would hope that the people that were shorting here shaved a good chunk. I would hope that if you took a long from the 7.5 or the golden pocket, you shaved a little bit at the VWAP. But that's totally going to be up to you on, can you do the right thing when the opportunity presents itself? Or are you going to start to let the greed kick in and round trip your ass? ZZZ says, what if you're in both? That's awesome. Put your stop loss at break even. Whichever one wins, wins. Did you at least shave a little bit, ZZZ? Remember, every trade is an opportunity for you to prove to yourself that you can do the right thing. What is something that you can actionably measure that you're going to do in that pursuit? Okay? So how about from now on, Lurson, for the entire price movement, okay? So let's say, for example, you took a short, Lurson. Let's say, for example, you took a short here, okay? Doesn't matter what the entry is, but you go swing high, swing low, and how about from for the rest of your trades, for the rest of the year, you shave 33%. No matter what, you shave 33% behind the 382 retracement. And everything gets closed behind the 05. Or whatever the fuck it is, but you need to have a protocol. And if you haven't gotten that far, then it's just talk. So what are we doing next week in the pursuit of trying to minimize getting round tripped, Lurson? What are we going to actually do actionably? Okay? What are we doing, Lurson? Are we closing 50% at 382? Are we closing 25% behind the behind the .25? Doesn't have to be the 382. Do you want to close at least half behind the .25 and really try to maximize profits? I can't wait for your ass to actually do that for 2 months and then realize how much more money you're making. I can't fucking wait. But you have to promise me, don't cheat. You have to do that for 4 weeks plus, Lurson. So don't cheat. You have to do it for at least 4 weeks plus. I can't wait for you to realize how much more money you make. Holy shit. Because you've never done that, right? Lurson? You've never done that, right? Be honest. You've never done that for like a 4 to 8 week stretch and really looked at how much more money you made, right? Because that's the only reason why you're not doing that. It's got to be. Because you're not a dumbass. If you could have seen how much more money you actually made doing that, you would have done it, right? So I can't wait for you to prove it to yourself, for you to see for yourself how much more money you make if you just don't round trip. Oh. And then you're going to be like me. You're going to be fucking telling all of your friends, don't fucking round trip. Think worst case scenario. Shave when you can. Shave when you can. But seeing is believing, right? So I bet that you're going to be a pretty big believer when you see literally how much more money you make, right? That's all it would take, yes? And if you do that for 8 weeks and you're still making zero money, then you can say, dude, Kimba has no fucking idea what he's talking about. I tried this for 8 weeks and it didn't work. And I would say, fair enough, bro. I'm sorry. But you can't do it for 2 days and be like, it's not working. Lurson says, I've been FOMOing the potential in the position. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different issue that we would have to talk about, Lurson, you know, because maybe your entry isn't as good as it should be. Maybe you're lacking the patience to wait until you could get the best entry and you're chasing it. Okay, so that's a completely different issue that we could have a conversation about. Yeah, but Jupiter says, at first we lose money because we easily accept hitting the stop loss, but we struggle to accept profit, but we always want more, but things always turn the other way around. For sure. And it's going to go brrr, right? And that's going to also get you carried away on some slippage as well. So as long as you can understand that Those are bad highs. And it's in your best interest to probably jump off the fucking boat before everybody else does. That's okay. But you're not supposed to take a short just because your invalidation is clear, or you're not supposed to take a short just because it's a cheap gamble. Make sure that you have edge, bearish edge. Okie dokie. S&P kind of has its own Fibonacci level. There you go. So if any of these levels get turned into support, there's a good chance that it's gonna sweep. So kind of like how I was talking with homie earlier, could it bounce and make a higher low? For sure, you know, but the easier long, especially now that it has a low like that, with a low like that, would be that. And even though it is tempting probably to either short the VWAP since the invalidation is clear, or try to take a short like that with a swing fail of cleaning that and grabbing the 7.5 of this and this, right? Because it's pixel perfect on the single print. So I know that shorting the VWAP or shorting the SFP of that is really tempting, but just like how I was telling homie, this long right here and this short right here, these will pay out a lot more. This is like, you know, you have a 20. We don't know what the dealer is showing yet because we don't have the data, but this is like a 20. You know, so even if the, you know, dealer has like a 19 or an 18, you still might have a shot type of shit. Whereas longing this or shorting this is more like you have a 17 and the dealer is showing like an 8. So nothing wrong with that. It's just a little, it's not like the highest probable outcome thing, you know, you got a little bit edge maybe. Gucci Romo says, I'm hoping the exaggerated bull div on CVD and RSI plays out. If you are bullish, that's exactly what you're hoping for, right? In my opinion, there's two ways that you could confirm that, Gucci Romo. So one is get above VWAP, right, Gucci Romo? Because like you said, if it is going to play out the exaggerated bull div on CVD and RSI, I don't think we're asking for much for it to break VWAP, right? If it really is that bullish, it should surely be able to get above the volume weighted average price. By definition, volume inserted, if it's bullish, it should be above the average price. That's like a fucking 5-year-old could figure that out, right? So step one, you make sure that VWAP is turned into support, right? And then last but not least, structure-wise, you're forming a failed auction. So how can you confirm a failed auction? And essentially, whether you answer that question or you're just going off of structure change and structure narrative, it's still the same answer, isn't it? We're at right now. So if that is not going to sweep, then it's going to make a higher low at around 0.02, right? It's going to basically find support right around here. Okay, but you and I both know that that's what we want at the end of the day, yeah? Yeah, so we'll see, but I think, man, I mean, we've been talking about if Bitcoin goes to 105, I might scalp long, right? If it breaks 100, I might scalp long at 98. And if it goes to 92, which is value area low, I would still long that hoe. And I would love 92 Bitcoin because every fucking altcoin long that I want, I'm gonna get. So I'm not, I think that's ultimately the conversation that you wanted to have. I'm not really looking at Bitcoin dominance, but in terms of, you know, S&P, Bitcoin, you know, make sure you're up to date on everything that we're doing. So I think we're kind of reaching the same conclusion, maybe, Gary. I'm not really looking at Bitcoin dominance. I'm looking at stuff like ETH BTC, Sol BTC, know what I mean? Dot BTC even. Yeah, but for me, I feel like the entire picture is really clicking for me if you've been able to follow along the last couple days. So, I love the way that it made the top like that because it gives us extra, because this Coinbase top gives me confluence to long. Right? So whether it's 98 or 92, wherever I see a bunch of bottom shorters trapped, I am going in heavy. Yeah. And again, like all of this shit is, you know, planned days in advance. You know, we talked about the 104 long as like the last area. Do you remember why I was shorting 104? And then we said, if this short doesn't work, then we're going to take that long. So 104, and then we were joking about the 111, 112, 113, any of those areas being a top like that. Yesterday, we spent the whole day getting ready for an SFP, but also as time went on and as VWAP was starting to show weakness, we were talking about, okay, we have to start thinking about the idea that the high is going to get left behind like that. You know, and so whether it was the VWAP getting turned into resistance or the neckline getting turned into resistance, like we knew that anywhere between 110 and 112, it was fair game to look for a short, right? Are we bearish? No. In fact, we're bullish and we didn't TP anything on our longs. That's why we're hedge shorting. So I think that's pretty obvious. Like if I'm not going to TP my 75 long, 85 long, 95 long, 104 long, then I got to be smart about at least hedge shorting, you know, wherever you want to take it, whether you got stopped out right there, whether you got stopped out right here. If you're really bullish, you know that that's like the chase limit. You know, so I think this is the zone that most people are going to try to chase a short if that's going to happen. If you wanted to take it, you could have taken that. And it's the same thing again. Are you going to wait to short until that gets cleaned? Are you going to short to wait until that gets cleaned? Or you're okay with the idea that you can short anything all the way up into where the cascade would start? You know, are you a believer in a higher low here, or would you rather look for like a much more appetizing level that might be a little bit better, like around 105? So there's really no right or wrong. Just kind of, you know, which way you want to play the thing. Yeah, but for me, my higher time frame plan really hasn't changed. I've been talking about like a 110, 100 rotation, like that abstract idea for a while. So regardless of if you feel like you're caught up on it or not, like I'm really prepared for that play. So, you know, I'm looking at that 104, 105 as a scalp long, you know, in case it wants to clean that high again before we go to 100 and lose it and people get bearish. Oh, we lost 100, bitch. I'm longing 98. Let's get it. Yeah, so higher time frame for me, I'm not really doing anything that much different. Obviously, on a day-to-day basis, as we do like 15-second alpha TA, you got to be able to flip-flop objectively. Let's just keep it dead-ass simple for today, brother. We're still below VWAP, and so I'm always going to pay respect to VWAP and understand that if I really want to get bullish, I'd rather just wait until VWAP gets turned into support or we build value above VWAP. So that's how I'm doing it. You do you. Any questions? And I don't know, I don't think you were here on Wednesday or Thursday, but dude, I was already talking about people asking me, "Hey Kimba, are we gonna sweep the high on over the weekend? Do you think we're gonna?" So it doesn't surprise me that they lift an incredibly shitty high like that. So I would love like a Monday SFP short. I'm also ready for like a Monday for the week to be extremely bullish. and for me to get a 105 or even a 98 long. Yeah, based off of what I'm seeing, I think it's maybe we get like one more bearish retest. You know what would be hella funny? Clip it, Azaz. Oh, fuck. That's what I think is the highest probability right now. Alrighty, how we doing? How we doing? Crypto Craze says nice song. Maybe Band-Aid. Whoa, stop the music. Young Kaizen. Edsbit, Husty, XCOG. D7, Cage. Moses says, I survived being underwater. What were you doing, Moses? You better be talking about your dog falling into the pool or something. Any questions? We did a bunch of shit live today, so how cool was that? Can we give it up for the 886618 rotation? Fibonacci, VWAP, all that good stuff. On a scale of 0 to 10, what'd you guys think overall about the whole week? What'd you guys think? And do you guys feel like you're prepared for the weekend and prepared for Monday? Diaz says, make sure you check DMs. Got you. I'll probably take a look at them right now. Yeah, Diaz, you good? Any questions? Alf M, you good? But yeah, man. Well, Moses, I think, 105, 104, 105 zone is going to be interesting. Obviously, the 112 pixel perfect buzz top, flat top, kid and play haircut is going to be also sweet as well. So that's easy. Do you feel like you're ready to go coming into the weekend? Are you going to take the long at 104, 105 if it happens during the weekend? Because I will.